Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Oklahoma City Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the February 7, 2012 meeting of the Trust, and I would recognize a motion to that effect.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Moved and seconded.
Second.
We'll vote. Approved. We've got one application for suburban school district funding. An application from Norman Public School District for Norman High School's remodel, $37,001.54 plus accrued interest.
Mr. Chairman, this is the sole project for Norman. Norman School District is in Oklahoma City by a quarter of a section. So it's just, and there's just 6 or 7 kids. I think it's been fluid. So this is their entire allocation for the entire Master Kids project. It's $37,000. And they're going to be putting it into Norman North High School remodel.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a motion for approval? There's been moved. There's moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We've got 2 financial reports. We're being asked to approve the Metropolitan Area Public Schools Trust Revenue and Obligation Report for December of 2011, and also the Metropolitan Area Public Schools payments. Are there any questions or comments? If not, I would recognize a motion to approve these 2 reports.
I move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next, we're being asked to adopt a resolution ratifying the issuance of and approving addendas numbers 1 and 2, accepting payment in the amount of $22,000 from Wynn Construction Company, Inc., for damages caused by failure to execute contract documents for Roosevelt Middle School, releasing the bid bond, awarding the contract, base bid only, to W.L. McNatt & Company in the amount of $4,352,000, approving contract and bonds and stating the reason for the award of the contract to other than the lowest bidder, which statement is required by our law.
This is a very, very unique situation. I've only encountered this once or twice in my professional career, where the low bidder had a bust in their bid. They made a mistake in the bidding. Well, the Oklahoma Competitive Bidding Act, or as is most states, you can't walk away from a bid. You have a bid bond, and if you choose to walk away from that, you forfeit your bid bond. Well, Wynn doesn't want to forfeit their bid bond. That's not, if you forfeit a bid bond, then you don't want to forfeit bond. So what they're asking us to do is pay us the difference between their bid, their low bid, and the second low bid, and asking to walk away from the project. So we are made whole financially to what their low bid would be, but they don't have to pick up their whole difference, and it gets them out financially. We've done this a couple of times before, but it's a rarity. This probably happens once every decade or so. I'm sorry? $22,000. That's what they're paying.
That's what they're paying, the difference between their bid and the McNatt bid. Yeah.
But they have a bid bond, which would have been much more than that had we called on their bid bond. So they don't, of course, don't want the bid bond called, because then they can't get bids, or they can't get bonds in the future, or it's very difficult. So it's a process that really makes us whole in the process, and we recommend approval.
And they do. Are there any other questions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We've now got 4 change orders. I would ask you to vote for all 4 of them at the same time. First, we're being asked to recommend to the Board of Education of Independent School District number 89, Amendment number 3 to the contract for architectural services for HSE architects for Class and School Advanced Studies, an increase of $20,000. Secondly, we're being asked to approve Amendment number 2 to contract for architectural services with the small group for Emerson Alternative School, an increase of $64,499. Thirdly, we're being asked to approve change order number 10 for Hoover Elementary School, increase of $1,388.20, project ES31. And fourthly, approve change order number 3 for Eugene Field Elementary School, increase of $72,296, project ES50. Are there any questions or comments about any of these change orders?
I do have a question on the Class and School of Advanced Studies. In light of the discussion or the news report that was aired last week, how does this play into the additional architectural services going forward with this increase?
Well, first of all, it's a increase of $20,000 in additional services on an $8.5 million project, so it's not a significant cost effect. You know, I did not. Todd, go ahead.
Todd Woodward with the City of Oklahoma City. Due to the extension of the contract for the contractor to be finished with the project, this is for additional construction administration only for the architect. When he signed up, he didn't sign up to be on board until the summer. He signed up to be on board until December of 2011. This is just paying him to stay on board with us for an additional few months so that he can help us with construction administration. It has nothing to do with what you've seen on the TV here lately or anything to do with the budget. It's strictly for construction administration.
Any other questions? Any other questions with any other change orders? If not, I'd recognize a motion to approve all four of them.
I move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. I've lost my agenda. Here we go. Next item is to accept the Coolidge Elementary School project and place the maintenance bond into effect, project ES 32. Are there any comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Mr. Couch, update status report.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of things. On the construction progress, there are presently 26 schools in construction. Final acceptance for Britton and Linwood Elementary Schools are scheduled for March 6th. Additional final acceptance for Johnson, Nichols Hills, Green Pasture, Scheidler, Fillmore, Lee, Hoover, Southern Hills, and the early start fire alarm projects are expected in April. So we're going to get a bunch of these kind of closed down here and back and do final acceptance on. As last month, we are down to just 6 schools under design. It's Webster, which will bid on March 6th, Taft, which will bid on April 17th, Jefferson, which will bid on April 24th, and Rogers, which will bid on May 15th. And then Emerson Downtown Elementary School is scheduled to bid May 1st, which will just leave us the one school, which is the Downtown Elementary School. We're working through schematic design. We will have planning community meetings on that one in the next a few weeks. On the 2007 bond projects, 7 schools to bid in April. That's Coolidge, Van Buren, Hayes on April 3rd, and Monroe and Nichols Hills, Wheeler and Nichols Hills Gym on April 10th. And then 7 additional schools are in preliminary report phase for classrooms and gyms. That's Parmalee, Hillcrest, Pierce, Adams, Bodine, Horace Mann, and Kaiser. And then we're taking consultant review committee reports to the next trust meeting, authorizing negotiations for architectural contracts with MODA Architecture, and that's for Mark Twain, Putnam Heights, Southern Hills, and Stanwady. And then consultant review committee reports to the next trust meeting, authorizing negotiations for architectural contracts with Design Architects Plus, and that's for Buchanan, Gatewood, Johnson, and Oak Ridge Elementary Schools for additional classrooms and gyms. As far as public events over the next few weeks, we'll have a groundbreaking at Arthur Elementary School on Friday, March 9th, groundbreaking at Capitol Hill Elementary School on Friday, April 6th, a grand opening of Fillmore Elementary School on Friday, March 2nd, a grand opening of Sequoia Elementary School Monday, March 5th, a grand opening of Johnson Elementary School Monday, March 26th, and a grand opening of Southern Hills Elementary School Friday, March 30th. All of those events are at 1:30 in the afternoon. So, a lot of activity.
Thank you. We now have 2 citizens who want to speak. Pam Newby.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. I'm here to speak about Class and School of Advanced Studies and the status of our MAPS renovation project. You all may be aware that originally, let me back up. Parents at Classen have been concerned about the amount of monies that were allocated for Classen since many, many years ago when we found out how much was allocated. Originally, we were supposed to get 10 new classrooms and all sorts of things that were designed specifically for our school, but those came out because there wasn't enough money in the budget. There were 3 architectural plans presented by our architect, one that would take into account pretty much the things that the students needed at the school. The second one had kind of pared that back a little bit, and then the third one was just bare bones. We had to go with the third one, which was bare bones. And the bare bones, it included no student parking lot, no replacement of lockers, no science lab equipment, no window replacement, no theater aisle lighting, no acoustical panels and practice rooms for our guitar, choir, those kinds of things. All of those were taken out from the very beginning. And now as the project has progressed, as with any old building, whenever you open up something, there's something else that seems to be wrong. So now we have been told our project is 90% complete. Things like that are now being left out of the project is the administration offices will not be finished. The floors in the locker rooms for students will not be finished. There's a sinks in the dark room, can't happen. There's been a large noise problem in our dance annex that won't be addressed. So these are things that are happening because the monies have run out. I know that we've said that there's $8.5 million that have been spent on this project, but I think you should consider that at least $1.5 million of that went for temporary buildings and the ongoing utilities for those temporary buildings, which no other school has had to have paid for. So I'm just here to ask you all to please complete our project. We need more funds. Everybody's worked really hard to be accepting of all of the cuts we already had to accept, but at least give us that bare bones plan that was put in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Next, Sherry Rhodes.
Thank you. And for those who don't know me, I guess I have 2 hats. One is I'm currently a Classen SAS parent. I have 2 boys there now who've been there since 6th grade, are now sophomores, and I was also part of the original Project Kids and Maps for Kids while I served as executive director of the Public Schools Foundation. So I had, I think, a good idea of what the expectations were of what our schools would be after they were renovated. You know, having gone through the schools originally and seen truly the dire state that each of them were in, and looking at what the schools, including Classen or Northwest Classen, looked like after years of not having anything happen, there was the hope that when it was completed, that they would be in much better shape and be able to stand hundreds of students coming through those halls for many years to come. And I'm with Pam. I mean, it was just a shock to me to hear that MAPS is 90% complete at Classen. And truly, I mean, I remember going back and looking at Classen before we did anything, and to be honest, as a regular parent walking through, I don't see that much difference. And that is truly disappointing for me because I understand that Classen really is, you know, the school at which we all can be most proud of in Oklahoma City. With the students that we turn away each year because there simply is no room, I think that's a tribute to the students and the teachers. But, you know, I think I was telling Jim Couch before the meeting, we never have had hot water in the student bathrooms. We still don't. And, I mean, it's just basic things like that that are quite surprising to me as a parent as I look through. And I know the monies have been expended. I've lived in historic homes my whole life, so I understand that costs can often be overrun. But I'm here today, I'm encouraging you, if you will just try to walk through the school and see for yourselves and look at, you know, attesting where the monies have been spent, perhaps what other monies, if they are available, could be used to make Classen be something that we can be proud of. Because right now, it is not, and that's just very disappointing, I know, for me, and it would be for you, because you all have done this, you know, really out of the goodness of your heart. You took a really difficult job to do this, and I appreciate that. But that's my request. Please go see and see if you can do anything else to help it along. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Mr. Rivers, a couple of things. The administration improvements were taken out of the construction project that we've let right now because we're running up against our 10% change order limit. Not that we're not going to do them. We just couldn't do them with our present contract because we're up against, we're maxed out on change orders, and we had a change order on that, we wouldn't be able to legally do it. And we're not going to open up a section and have no change order, especially with the history we've had in that building. So it's not that we're not doing that, we're just not doing that at this time with that particular contract. Trustee Dr. Thompson called me last week and expressed some similar concerns, and she and I, with the architect and some of our staff, are going to go through it next Tuesday, I believe, or next week sometime, to take a look at it further. I'm pretty confident there's a way to get hot water there. I'm just absolutely convinced of that we can do that. I just know we can, but some of those other issues that are out there, we'd be pleased to take a look at, and we'll see if depending upon if there's something that we may need to add to the project, that's something maybe we can do. But thank you very much for bringing it to our attention, and I will say that I'm pretty sure that Dr. Thompson's got your back.
Well, yeah. I'd like to ask a question, if you can, and I appreciate Trustee Thompson going to that effort. It would be helpful for me if we could have perhaps either mailed to us or if we could present it at the next meeting, an outline of what was originally intended with the construction, with the renovation of the original budget monies, and then what was found in the change order and what we think we'll be able to achieve, and so we can identify the gaps and then identify potential areas where we might.
We'd be happy to do that.
That would be great.
Good idea.
Other comments by trustees?
I just want to say we've had such a successful program in the last 10, I guess it's been 10, almost 11 years. We need to finish class right, and these parents need to be happy because the rest of the schools are happy, and I think we need to find a way to do it. So I support Valerie, and I know Jim will help us find a way.
Thank you. Other comments by trustees?
And I just want to ask, staff has been very cooperative through the process. I have been being very inquisitive over several months in this process, and I think that walking with city manager next week, identifying some of the things that I saw, I think we can look through to some resolution.
Any other comments by trustees or staff?
I just ask one
Okay.
more. It might be helpful in addition to what turns out the third case, which was the bare bones budget, it would just be helpful for me as a refresher what the first and second alternative look like as well.
We can do that.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Other comments from staff? Other comments from citizens? Seeing none, we're adjourned.